This episode of After the Table is brought to you by Crescent Moon Alchemy Co. Crescent Moon Alchemy Co. is a Houston-based and eco-friendly shop for all your fantasy needs. I also happen to know the CEO, Michaela. We went to university together, and whenever I heard she had a nerdy company, I had to get on board and join the ranks of fans of their products. Whether you need dice potions to bring up your life total or pack things in their ultimate game night backpack, they have what you need to make your game nights go perfectly. Use code Shelly10 for 10% off your next purchase, and make sure to tag them on social media whenever you get it. That's Shelly10 at Crescent Moon Alchemy Co. Hello and welcome back to After the Table, a TTRPG podcast. 'Tis I, your favorite elder millennial who's an emo kid at heart, turned moody folk rock adult Shelly Von Miller. Yeah, that's right. And the bridge to combine those two is Paramore. You're welcome. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. It's what episode are we on? Oh my gosh, that's the question of the day. We're on episode 14. We're like 2/3 of the way through the season. It's crazy to think of. I don't know how we got here, but with everyone's help, we're here. We're here, everyone. But speaking of moody and gothic TTRPG people, this episode we're joined by Crit Award nominated and possibly winner. As we're recording this, though, the winners have not been announced. Very queer and very Hozier-esque podcast who will make you feel all the feelings while building an amazing community. Welcome to the table, the narrator with the mostest, Moon of Spare the Crying. Hello.
Thank you.
I'm
associated with Hozier.
Yes, I was just. It's like, I was like, oh yes, this is Hozier, yes, and also you mention it in your videos. You're like, if you like Hozier inspired things, if you just want, just all of this, I love it. By the way, congratulations on the nomination. Y'all got nominated for Best Legacy Podcast, which I think is a new category. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Hey, Crit Awards people, you can totally just get at me at the comments on that one. But yeah, y'all have been doing this for over 2 years now. How does it feel to be recognized on a platform like this? It is, y'all haven't put out your stuff towards other webfests or anything like that, correct?
No. I feel like I'm so out of touch with a lot of online stuff that, like, I think maybe that's the first time that I've realized that that's actually something you can do. Is you saying that to me right now? Yeah, this was a big surprise. And really exciting. I mean, it's strange, not in a bad way, but it's strange to like do something like making a podcast where you don't really, you put your stuff out there, but unlike something like a live stream, you don't have like a chat while you're doing it or something like that to show that there are people actually there listening. So I don't know, it's really cool to kind of see that in a way, and it's really an honor because there's a lot of really amazing creators out there as well.
I think that's what these like not smaller, but like these web-based kind of like
independent,
yeah, award shows kind of showcase. They showcase like different people that you're not necessarily in tune with all the time, and you're like, oh, okay, this is something I want to listen to. Let me put it on my list of things. It's just like, yes, it's a big old list. Lots of.
We just got started, and I realized that my computer's almost out of battery. I'm gonna go grab my charger.
Yeah, no problem. Editor Shelly, This is where you edit things out. It is okay.
Okay, I'm back.
No problem. Yeah, no, it happens. It's one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, batteries. Must use those. But yeah, I think that's the great part about these like independent awards thing, like award shows. You're like, okay, I like this. Also, it kind of builds a community onto itself. Like all the nominees all talk to each other, and we all kind of try to support each other as best we can. At least that's what I've gotten. I don't know about everybody else. Everybody's
So
like,
far, so good.
yeah, so far so good. But for those who are just hearing about Spare the Crying because of the Crit Awards, how would you describe Spare the Crying? How would you describe the podcast?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, we mentioned Hosier, but what we haven't mentioned, it is very musically inspired. I was also listening to a lot of Orville Peck when writing the campaign. I don't know if you know who Orville Peck is.
Oh, I adore Orville. So
Okay.
no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The two blending. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to a lot of Orville Peck then. I am still listening to a lot of Orville Peck now. For those who don't know, you should go check him out. He his stage persona. He's a performer. He's like a singer, and his stage persona is this flamboyant, masked, gay cowboy. And he really ups it. Like, it is very much a character. He has this, like, Johnny Cash-esque voice and these, like, beautiful, also, yearning-filled lyrics a la Hosier. And a lot of people at my table were listening to his music, too, at the time. And so a lot of that influence went into the characters and the settings. But then I needed to bring some of my sort of original favorites into the inspiration. So I would say the world feels similar to like Castle in the Sky or Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, these like Studio Ghibli movies with this sort of ancient tech-based fantasy and like post-apocalyptic settings, where like this sort of world-ending event happened a long time ago, and now we are in the like revival or recovery time, or like Breath of the Wild, if people have played that. This sort of open world with pockets of safety. So it's really just a mishmash of all of my favorite things together. And if you like character-driven storytelling, I think it's also a good place to go. We've got, I mean, combat is lovely, and we have it in there, but we are definitely more driven by the growth or the falling back of the characters.
I love that. One of the things that really drew me, because I had heard about y'all before the Crit Awards, was you make short form content that kind of, one, is a platform to market the podcast, but also it kind of gives this like different dynamic of like character building, and that you have the character building scene that you are just having by yourself between two characters, as it were, and then you go to like a part of the podcast where you're listening to it and everything like that. How did you decide on that format? Like what was the catalyst to kind of like move towards that type of format whenever it came to trying to get people to listen?
You mean like the sort of skit based?
Yeah, skit based.
Yeah. I few things. One is I think people are less likely to be interested in just an audio clip. And, at first I tried just making these sort of aesthetic little setups with the pretty things we have around our home or whatever. But it looked nice in a picture, but it didn't really get much across personality-wise, maybe. But I was actually a TikTok cosplayer before being, not like a big TikTok cosplayer, but I cosplayed on TikTok. And so I was like accustomed to acting in character with my face, at the camera. And I didn't do that at first because I was like, well, it's totally different in cosplay. I'm dressed up and pretending to be a character. So I'm less shy about it because I'm not like being myself. And so then for a while, my new attempt at content on social media for D&D stuff, I was trying to be kind of sillier, which also felt like a kind of character in a way. Not that I can never be silly, but it didn't really feel like myself, and for one thing, it really had nothing to do with the show because it's not really a comedy show. And it also just wasn't really the kind of energy that I enjoy giving off. I like it when other people give off that energy, but not me, like I'd rather watch them do it. So then I was like, well, if I'm pretending to be in character with, I don't know, some makeup and fun clothes on, maybe that's close enough to cosplay. So then I think I first started with like sort of romance-based, Hosier song-inspired skits that were also inspired by moments in the podcast, and it just sort of worked, and it felt a lot more genuine from my perspective, which also makes the process of making content a lot less exhausting when it feels genuine. So yeah, it wasn't a super conscious decision. I just sort of threw a lot of things at the wall, and then that ended up being what I liked best.
That's great. I think that's one of those processes in creating content where you're just like, you go through these phases of trying different things, and you're like, I don't know if I like this way or that way, and then something finally clicks, and you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, this feels right.
I think.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just I think how you feel when you read comments really says a lot, because when I was doing the sillier stuff, a lot of the jokes, I mean, I'd like to think none of them were really mean, but like there was more like gentle ribbing, I guess, which then sometimes would escalate a little bit in comments. Thankfully, I never had anything. Again, I'm pretty mild. There wasn't like anything intense. But then when I moved to more like serious or dramatic content, the comments would be positive and maybe a softer way is a way to describe it. Like, oh, this like made me emotional, or like really reminds me of my character. Or like, oh, this was lovely to see, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of the energy I would like to encourage on my social media, especially because I'm not a comedian, so like I felt more, I guess, confident with these. But yeah, the comic section temperature really, really, I think, says a lot.
They usually say don't read the comments, but you're like, let's just figure out what the baseline is and then go from there.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because you're like, oh, if you're making content that you really like and people actually kind of enjoy it and are able to digest it, you're able to kind of like ignore the one-off comments that are just weird or say stupid things. Yeah, the mean people. You're like, oh, yeah, okay. You're not here for this. You're just here because randomly you found it and you want to comment for no reason. But okay, so on that kind of the comments section, you have a very interesting way that you've created community. You have like the Discord, and but like y'all have the Discord and a wiki page where people can like interact and kind of see what's going on in the world and also talk about their own games. How did that all come about? Like, how did that type of community come about through your podcast?
Well, the Discord came first, and it was, I mean, the birth of the Discord was pretty simple. And it was actually, I made a TikTok in the before skit days where I was basically like, it's so hard being a DM because you have pages and pages of backstory stuff you want to talk to someone about, but you can't tell any of your players because it's a secret from them. And, random people in the street, they just don't care. And then a couple people in the comments were like, oh, I wish there was a place where you could talk to other DMs and do that. And I thought, well, I could make that place. So it's not a Discord specifically for DMs, but that was the inspiration to make a TTRPG Discord that, it has like a big section about the show, but I didn't want it to be just for fans of the show, especially because we're a pretty small show and we were even smaller then. So yeah, it was just, I just thought it would be nice to try making a very positive, queer TTRPG space. And whoever first commented that on my TikTok post should get credit to, because they inspired it. The wiki was truly just made by fans, which is wild. They put a lot of work into it. So I haven't even touched the wiki. I've read it. I've read it to remember my own stuff.
It's a great source for, you're like, oh, my session notes aren't as full as they should be. You're like, yes. I don't want to go back and listen to hours upon hours of things.
Not my own voice. Especially, I went on testosterone. I don't like hate my old voice, but it is really weird to listen to. So it's nice when other people do that for me.
You're like, I will read the transcript. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
A good chunk of episodes where every character has like a 12-year-old boy puberty voice. I'm like,
you're
sorry,
like, well,
guys.
this is awkward.
They don't really sound like this. They were at a concert last night.
Exactly. They were screaming their little voice off. It's okay. But that's great that like the community like went out of their way and like created a wiki and have been enjoying it. You created the Discord for other people in the TTRPG space. Have people moved into also listening to the podcast as well? Or was it just like a mixed bag?
I would say it's a mixed bag. It's a pretty big server. Of course, not everyone is active in the way of servers. So I would say most people joined just to talk about TTRPGs, which was expected. Like that appeals to more people than people who like a specific show. But we were hoping that if it seemed like a good community for them, that people would then join our little fandom group in there. And yeah, there have definitely been some people who, thanks to seeing like fan art that's posted there or theories that are posted there, have joined in. So yeah, it's like a good mix of both. I hope I don't feel like people who don't watch the show feel as if they can't like join in. A lot of our mods haven't watched the show and they're mods. So yeah, it's a good mixture of both.
And y'all are like a mostly audio-based podcast, correct? Y'all are, from what I've got, at least on what I've listened to, y'all are mostly audio-based. what what steered you away from doing like a camera or like live show based podcast instead of like just audio?
Yeah, I wish I had a cool reason, but mostly it's equipment. Yes, equipment. Like if you the start of our show, the microphone is really sad. We made recap episodes so people can jump ahead to where we have a good mic. But yeah, we just had like this sad microphone. So equipment number 1. 2 is we all really wanted to sit at the table together. And which we do. And I mean, there are ways to do that and also have it be on video, but it is much harder to figure out. And then third reason is that we're shy. So I think at this point, because I ended up being like a face for social media, I've gotten over that shyness. But yeah, it felt like an easier sort of jumping point. I did just get myself a proper computer and a webcam and set up a little Twitch account. So I'm hoping to start doing some streaming stuff or recorded stuff. But I think the main like campaign show will probably always be audio format, at least until this campaign ends. And then, I don't know, I'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, also, I think it makes it a little bit easier whenever it comes to just like editing as well. You're like, I don't have to figure out that the videos are lining up, or like if something goes wrong and you have 4 cameras and you have to line up everything and do clap tests. Yeah. It's a whole thing. As somebody who does a lot of video stuff, it's a pain. Yeah. Also,
we don't have editors, so.
Yeah. Hey.
That's us.
It's nice. But also, I think it also alleviates the pressure of trying to be on. Like, you still have a microphone, but like you don't have to be on and like overact. You're able to kind of get into the scenes a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Or has that been something that y'all have noticed?
Yeah, I think that is. I mean, even just we've all kind of loosened up now, but even with just the mic, there was definitely tension just knowing that we were recorded. We also have to, again, equipment wise, very simple show, so we do need to try really hard not to make background noise and like sit kind of still and stuff like that. So it took a while to even relax with just a microphone. So I do think with a camera, there probably would have been additional sort of mental blocks when it came to it. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely guilty of like if I'm in a recording, looking at myself to kind of, I don't know, self-consciously see if I look weird or something, and that would get very distracting during a D&D session.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm always like messing with something or like touching my face, and then I notice it. I'm like, I notice my, like, if I'm not in a scene and I'm trying to listen to somebody else in a scene and we're all on camera, I will look at myself and I'll be like, oh, I look so angry right now. Because I just do this. I'm like, oh, I need to not do that with my face. Great, cool. And I think that's been it's like, I don't look nice right now. I don't look like I'm enjoying this. But yeah, I think I've done pre-recorded like audio only stuff, and I've done mostly video, and I've noticed a difference between like the two, and I'm like, oh, I feel more relaxed whenever it's not live. I think it's like, oh, we could take this again, sweet, great, cool. I like this. I don't mind that at all. We could take a break, and we don't have to be on a BRB where it's like 5 minutes. Good. All right. There's a lot more de-stressing from it. Okay, so you describe your world with like Hosier and Orville Peck, and as somebody from a Yeehaw state, woo woo, we love a good cowboy fantasy type of setting. I what I guess what outside of the music, what kind of helped develop that world? Because I've seen it a lot lately. There's a lot of like cowboy fantasy, and I think it really lends to the genre of like people always think cowboys, they're like, gunslinging, very adventure based, which can lend to fantasy, but I think there's also this like romantic aspect to the West. There is. I mean, let's look historically, people. The cowboys were really gay, okay? They were very, very queer. There were no women out there for a very long time. Let's be real. But like there is this romantic aspect of being in the West. Like, what helped you develop that timeline along the way? Like, how did your players kind of interact with that as well once they've understood, oh, this is where we're going? Cool.
That's a good question. I think we are a table of queer people, for one thing, who enjoy romantic, or I don't know if softer is the right word, more tender storytelling. So I think no matter what the setting is, this table would have a sort of romantic, tender energy. But also, I mean, we say cowboy, but I usually don't say Western, because this is sort of I'm not like an expert on the historical context for these words, but I would say like Americana as a genre fits us better than Western. So I know so many of my references are like media references, but like if you're looking at movies, like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, as an aesthetic or a setting, fits us better than like an old spaghetti Western, saloons, tumbleweeds kind of setting. Or like Over the Garden Wall. This another, it's much sillier, but like another kind of Americana feeling, not necessarily Western or cowboy feeling show. And I think a lot of the Americana folk tales and stories have a kind of fantasy romance to them. Then also the cowboy kind of setting or vibe was naturally formed by the players when they made their characters. Like one of them is the child of this like wealthy rail line owning family, like train mogul company. Another person just really wanted to make a guy in a cowboy hat and ended up being inspired by Westerns because of that. So it all just kind of came together. Especially I think with steam engine trains, which have a romantic kind of symbolism to them. But then underneath have, to put it simply, like a lot of problems. Like sort of like colonialism, like they're also like a symbol of colonialism and the like expansion to the West. And we all thought that was an interesting subject to tackle. both this like romantic, beautiful aesthetic and the sort of underlying creeping sort of, capitalist issues that come along with it that people turn away from. So yeah, I think it was just all something we were interested in.
I guess on that idea of like bridging the gap between romanticism, like the romantic aspect of like a railroad, or like the West, or like cowboy culture, and this idea of like creeping colonialism, creeping capitalism. How did you, whenever it came to like making sure that the table felt safe to express those kind of stories, what went into like safety tools, your session 0, and prepping that?
So for session 0, I mean, pretty simply, we have a session 0 for one thing. We have like a meeting that is the same kind of setup as usual. We all sit around the table together. And for this one, we had that sort of pre-game session, as well as like a little basically test session just to sort of play at our characters together and make sure we're all on the same vibe together. I have a TTRPG consent list that I just found online. Like someone recommended it to me, that has red, yellow, and green. So basically red means I don't want this content in my game whatsoever. Yellow is maybe let's talk about it first, or have it off screen, or just abstractly mentioned. And then green is, yeah, it's fine, go ahead. So we do that. And then also we just do a lot of check-ins throughout the game. So, we always have a break in the middle and check in with everyone before we resume after the break. We have a Discord chat. If ever a topic comes up that I'm, sometimes like after a session, like a day after a session, I don't know, wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh God, I should have asked if that was okay, or something like that. So I can always, hit people up in Discord and say like, hey, was this okay? And I'm also very insistent that everyone understands that we are okay with retconning. I think retconning is great. I think there's an idea that retconning is bad in the TTRPG community, that you shouldn't do it. I understand where that is coming from, because part of the excitement and joy of TTRPGs is the fact that you can't plan everything out perfectly. But I think if it comes to the point where you are not enjoying yourself anymore, whether it's because something someone else did or something that you did that you then regretted, if the pain you feel for your OC struggling doesn't feel like the fun, exciting pain of reading a story, and feels like it is actually affecting you because of, bleed into real life, I say, you're here to have fun, please retcon. So we haven't really had any major retcons. We've had like a couple of minor tweaks, but I'm always willing to figure something out. And I think setting that expectation from the beginning has also helped my players feel okay with it as well. At least I hope so.
What did because there's romantic aspects, not just like, theme wise, but like there are romantic relationships within the confines of the story. How did those conversations come to fruition? Like, what is it? Do you do it between like DM and the player and player talk, and what does that conversation look like? Because right now, like, there aren't a lot of tools. I know there's one sort of like system agnostic tool that had like a backer kit that's getting worked on that talks about like TTRPGs and romantic things and like relationships. Can't wait for that to come out. But there's not a lot of, like, I feel like relationships are one of those things. It's like really, really hard to kind of balance without it feeling not forced, but people's feelings can get hurt sometimes. How do y'all kind of bridge that conversation?
Yeah, I think that's another thing where it's important to talk about above table. It's a decision that we make out of character before doing it in character, whether it's DM to player or player to player. It's discussed beforehand. Another thing, along with retconning, I approve of metagaming, especially with stuff like this. So if, let's say, the two characters that are in a romantic situation get into a fight, like an argument, afterwards or during, I will say to the player, is there a way you need this to resolve? Like, is it okay for this to resolve with them parting, or should we make sure that they're able to make up after this, and we go from there? So when it comes to more sensitive like relationships or topics like this, like metagaming is where it comes into place. We also, with some of the players, I do like very nerdy role play, like over text, which can help establish the characters' expectations with other characters in a very natural and still like storytelling way, while giving the players of the characters time to actually really consider. Because if it's text-based roleplay, you can go back, you can edit, you can wait a day to reply. I think that has really helped both make the relationships feel a little bit more rich, and also helped keep us on the same page. But yeah, I said it already, but I'll say it again. I think metagaming is great, especially with stuff like this, and it has helped us, over the past years many times.
Have y'all included like a kind of, not like a backlog, but like a recap of those text-based role-playing sessions within, or is it like gently mentioned, not like, we texted, but like the role play itself mentioned within the episodes?
Mostly it's just for us. Sometimes we might, like a character might refer to a scene from their past that we did role play out. Like, I don't know, oh, remember that time we went to the Rose Garden or whatever, and we role played that scene, but like it doesn't need to be in the show any more than that. There might be things like that. We do have Ko-Fi reward bonus content, and sometimes I will slightly revamp the roleplay to be basically like a little mini storytelling time, and I'll like read it out with a transcript. So sometimes you get to see our roleplays that way. But yeah, they are mostly just for us.
That's amazing, because that's like a interesting way to, one, include your community in like something that's kind of like behind the scenes, and also a way to kind of not gamify, but like sort of gamify just regular things that you kind of just have a behind the scenes discussion with. It's like, oh yeah, like, okay, this is what my character would do. Mm-hmm. This is the conversation that they would have. And so like kind of just going through and be like, oh yeah, like, and it also makes like more comfortable conversations with your players, because then like they understand where a character's coming from. And with one of the tables I'm part of, we kind of did we did like challenges of like writing challenges with each other and like talk about it and everything like that. And like it included like backstory and like how like we all got together, and we kind of went from there, and we Discord calls and be like, all right, so how do we, how did this come about? And yeah, it's a very fun time whenever you're able to have like a table like that, and you're like, yes, this is how the story gets a little bit more richer. This is how you have like a better understanding of your character, and other people's characters, I think, as well. Just, yeah. So your world is a brewed world. What was the decision to not do like a already pre-created world, and how long have you been working on this world? Was it where you're like, oh, I'm just making it for this D&D campaign, or have you been like writing stories in it for a while or anything like that?
Am I allowed to say this?
No,
it's not. It's just like, we're playing D&D, but I don't really like D&D that much.
Like Forgotten Realms, that. Yeah.
Like, I don't think that, like, for what we're doing, I don't think that D&D is the best system. We just, like, what we're playing is kind of D&D. We use it as like the backbone, and we did that because it was familiar to us, and some of the like like a tiefling or like an Aasimar, things like that, we liked having kind of a bit of like lore to go off of. We like having structure for like spells and fights that we don't have to worry about too much when telling the story. We were more interested in worrying about telling the story than we were about worrying about a whole new system. So we kind of just decided to go with D&D for our system. But so sorry, that sounded a little mean, but it's the world of the sort of canon world of D&D doesn't appeal to me all that much, and didn't really interest the players all that much. It was just more about having that reliable backbone that we all were familiar with. Also, I've never run a pre-written world before. I think it sounds like it can be fun, but it would be difficult for me to feel really like it's my story. And people certainly can do that. I'm not trying to say that people who use pre-written worlds are not making it their own. I just personally don't know if I could do that. And I've always wanted to write my own worlds, and never really had a way that I figured out to like put them out there. When I was little, I tried writing a book like many little kids do, and I kind of like sitting down and writing for hours on end didn't sit with me as a 12-year-old. And I thought about the author of Aragon being 15 and thought I could do it, but I couldn't, or I didn't, I should say. I thought about getting into like drawing for animation or comics, and again, I feel like I didn't give myself this sort of patience to do it. I was too embarrassed up on stages if I tried to do plays and stuff, and they didn't feel personal enough. So it was something I always wanted to do. I feel like there are things I hope to, maybe not things I hope to say. There are impressions I hope to leave with storytelling that I feel much more capable of doing through a story and world that I'm creating, that I can sort of meld and adapt to my own rules, I guess. As far as how long I was working on this, say maybe about a year before the campaign actually started. I usually actually keep my worlds, when it comes to TTRPGs, I try to keep my worlds fairly simple. I'm not really a like deep political intrigue fantasy kind of person. I think politics will always inherently be a part of any story, but it's not the main focus. And because we're character driven, I like to make the world kind of have a basic concept that feels interesting. And then once the characters all come in and I start getting their backstories, that makes it much easier to weave their backstories together into the story instead of making the world something that they have to weave themselves into. So the world building part actually didn't take all too much work. It was the taking everyone's backstories and connecting them all and weaving them together in that world that took more of the time in the writing.
What does expanding your world look like in the future? What is, like, you have miniseries that dive into the past or like one shots. What kind of world are you hoping to build in like future books or future series in this world?
I did purposefully make this world like spin-offable, I guess. The basic premise, and you can see the like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind inspiration here, and if you haven't watched it, maybe you should. Is like the world has kind of become like this sort of fey wasteland, and there are these isolated pockets of safety where people build their communities, their cities and towns, connected by the rail lines. Some of these pockets haven't been discovered yet. Some of them are very small. Some of them are very large. So you can kind of do anything with that. You can have a pocket of safety in like the deep regions of like these dangerous lands that has no contact with the outside world whatsoever. So their culture, their way of life could be completely uninfluenced by anything else. So that it's kind of a trick that makes it really easy to do spin-off situations with, you know, a variety of aesthetics or settings. As far as like future content, I haven't thought about, or I guess future stories that take place in the future beyond the campaign. I haven't thought about too much because however this campaign ends will greatly affect that. Sorry, I'm like, spoilers? I'm not sure if I will want to do anything that takes place after this campaign. I think if I did, but I'm not positive about that. I'd have to sort of check in with myself after it ends. But I would probably want to do things that go alongside with or before it. I was thinking of doing something like The 1,000-Year Vampire, which is a solo TTRPG that could be very interesting to explore a world like this through, I think, because it is basically it's a world going through an industrial revolution, a very slow industrial revolution. So I don't know if a revolution is the right word, but and there are also lots of vampires in our story, so it would fit with our theme already. So that's really my only plan for a future endeavor that takes place in the same world. Yeah, I do love stories that don't have sequels, so I think it would really have to feel right for me to want to do something that takes place after the campaign. Or it would be something that takes place way after the campaign, you know, like centuries, to sort of feel right to me.
I was going to ask what other systems you were considering, like, kind of, like, housing in this world. 1,000-Year Vampire is, like, great. Are there any other systems that you're like, oh, like this might be a good fit or anything like that?
Yeah, I haven't played it a lot. I've only played a couple sessions, but there's a system called Realis, spelled like Realis, I hope. And there are no dice, which is sad, but you can still have your dice with you for emotional support. It is sentence based. It's hard to describe, but it's actually a very simple concept. But of course, you have to start playing it to understand it. It's that kind of situation. But basically, you get these core statements that are realities for your character. So, for example, I always attract attention to myself when I walk into a room. You can use that sentence when you walk into a room. And unless one of the other characters or NPCs has something that goes against it, that will happen. So you don't have to roll to make it happen. It will happen. And then as you sort of level up, your sentences get more specific. So I always attract attention to myself when I walk into a room. If I have a fancy outfit on, I don't know, something like that. That's not extremely creative, but you get it. Then that narrows down your chances of success, because you always have to have a fancy outfit on for it to be successful. But it makes your sentence have like +1 to it. So if someone else in the room has something that goes against your sentence, but theirs is very vague and it doesn't have the +1, your sentence wins against theirs. So it is difficult to explain. I don't know if any of that made sense. But it's very cool, and was easier to catch on to than I thought it was going to be, because it was explained to me much like how I just poorly explained it to you, and I was like, I do not understand what you mean. But something like that is much more like loose, I guess, as far as rules go, and very open as far as the direction of the story. And that's kind of what we're doing already with our Rule of Cool, heavy, rules as written light campaign. So I feel like it would be an interesting, independent TTRPG to explore if anyone's willing to dip their toes in something new.
That sounds really interesting. I like the fact that it builds on itself too. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, and like this. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I like the power and specificity that it kind of embraces, because as you specialize yourself more and more, the sentences get more powerful. I don't know. I think there's here's an intelligent statement. There's something there. I think
there's power in the words that you have in front of you. So
thank you.
Yeah. No, I understand. I was like, yeah, there's something there. It's like there's something there that you can build off of, and then like just build a better story to kind of interact with. That I'm gonna have to look this up. Realis?
Yeah, there's a podcast called Friends at the Table where they play it.
Ooh.
So, and again, it's the kind of game where I feel like you kind of have to either play it or listen to someone else playing it to really understand it. So I would recommend. It's also a cool podcast. So
there you
it's
go.
actually one of the new games.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where I say, plug your stuff. Tell people where they can find Spirit the Crying.
Yeah, so we're Spare the Crying Podcast on pretty much any social media. So Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. YouTube, you can also, along with the shorts or whatever, you can also find the podcast itself. But then Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much any podcast stream, you can listen to us. I just set up a Twitch account. The account is Moonlow GM. Moon is my name. Lo is the name of the narrator of Spare the Crying. It's sort of a fourth wall situation. We are each other, whatever. And GM, Game Master. So you can find me there. Right now, there's nothing on my Twitch, but maybe by the time this episode comes out, there will be. I hope. I set it up yesterday, so we'll see how it goes. And yeah, if you look up our link tree, you can find or click the link on any of these social media pages. You can join our Discord if you want to learn more about Spare the Crying. If you want to just talk about your own TTRPG, share character art, make everyone look at your OC and get excited about them, that is the place to go. So hopefully we'll see some of you there.
Heck yeah, I love talking about my own characters. I'm like, look at them! They're amazing!
And I love to see it.
Yes. With that being said, you can find all those links and where to find Spare the Crying and Moon down below in the show notes. You can, speaking of finding people on the internet, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Shelly Von Miller, because why not? You're here. You might as well say hi to me. To include Patreon and Fourth Wall memberships, where you can get a Patron Exclusive segment called Table Sets, which we're going to record right after this. And all sorts of behind the scenes stuff, to include my own world building things that I should probably work on. She says guiltily. With that being said, y'all, I love you very much, and I will see you on the internet. Goodbye!